That 145.9, so quite a gap between those first three and this man, Graham Rahal, but he's putting the hammer down now and trying to close in on Dan Clark for second place.
Over 0.4 of a second quicker on that last lap, and you can see the gap visibly shrink. Graham Rahal is pushing extremely hard, but if he does manage to get himself close enough to start battling with Dan with only 13.5 minutes left in this race, we got to look at their Cosworth power to pass numbers. Graham Rahal, 15 seconds remaining to Dan Clark's 26. So that gives Dan about one extra push from Graham, and he can use that defensively just as Graham will try and use it offensively. So as this race winds down, this could get very interesting, this battle for second place.
So as you say, in terms of the Cosworth power to pass advantage to Dan Clark, and an advantage to Dan Clark also in their track position, but that again was the radio communication there to Graham Rahal. It was Todd Malloy there, the race engineer, or else John Teasy. I couldn't quite hear which one it was, but saying keep the pressure on, and that is what Graham Rahal is trying to do. Look at the gap there between second and third place positions. Well,
he's taken a second and a half out on that last lap alone, so Dan must have made a slight mistake, because even a great lap, that's a tough gap to make up, but Graham Rahal absolutely on it. The order's been given. Brilliant stuff.
Michelle Meisner is in the Newman Haas Racing.
Oh, yes, he does. And I'm joined now with the lovely Debbie Rahal, mother of Graham Rahal. How many times have you been to this track in your life?
Oh, I'd say probably about 28 times now.
28 times.
I come for the roasted corn, not the racing.
Well, it'd be lovely to see Graham get a win here. We know that Bobby never did, but also, I know you haven't seen this yet, but Graham is featured in this article. What did you think about that?
I was very proud that he was asked to be featured in that, and they came to the house and interviewed him, and we had a great time doing it, and I'm very, very excited for him that he's getting the recognition.
All right, wonderful. Back to the booth.
Yeah, the article that Michelle Meisner was referring to an article in ESPN, the magazine. It is one of the North America's top sports magazines publications, and Graham Rahal featured in the latest issue of that esteemed journal. And now here is Graham Rahal. He's trying to eclipse the record of the youngest ever champ car winner, currently held by Nelson Philippe when he won the race last year in Surfers Paradise. And Graham Rahal, he's got a lot of time on his side. He's got almost 2 years to eclipse Nelson Philippe's record. He's still just 18 years of age, as Graham Rahal. He's had already a couple of podiums this season. He's looking good for another podium this afternoon. But I know he wants at least that. He wants to move up into second place if he can. And who knows what might befall Sebastian Bourdais in the closing stages of this race. Just 11 minutes to go now in the Generac Power Grand Prix of Road America. And it's Sebastian Bourdais who leads.
Back again, great racing in Road America.
Wow, that was a great pass by Tristan Gomedy. And as you said, James, he locked up the left front tire. Generally, this is like the more unweighted tire that would be locking up, and that going into a right-hand corner would be the right front wheel, but it was the left front that locked up on that car. And Tristan Gomedy did a great job to control that car.
Yeah, there are a few bumps heading under the brake zone into corner one there, so if he was just offline and caught them, that could have done it.
Jimmy Vasser is one of the team owners at PKV Racing. Cameron Steele is with him.
1 second, he's getting ready to talk to Tristan. You're saying push, push, push. Are you surprised after the problems you guys had here in testing that Tristan's coming with the goods right now?
Not really, no. Tristan's, he's a fast driver, and, we wish we were running a little bit better. I mean, we're not at the front end of the grid, so, he's having a good battle here with Justin. I think he just flat spotted his tire. Unfortunately, I think Neil's going to have to stop. I think he came in too early on the first stop, and it's been all green. He hasn't made good mileage, so that kind of sucks. But Tristan's having a good battle here.
A legend, Jimmy Vasser, giving us the update. Also on Neil Johnny, who has not been hitting his fuel marks. I suspect he's going to have to come back in.
And we've seen that all season long for Neil Johnny, coming from the Formula One environment and A1 GP and GP2 and all sorts of series like that in Europe, as we see how much Cosworth power to pass the drivers have remaining in the closing stages of this race. Sebastian Bourdais, he's still got at least 2 pushes worth left towards the closing stages. Dan Clark, 26 seconds left. Graham Rahal, just 3 seconds. But as we've said over and over, once you press that button, it will stay engaged for that extra 50 horsepower, the extra 300 RPMs until you lift off the throttle. So even though it shows only 3 seconds worth, the important thing he has is he has 1 more pushes worth of that power to pass. That will last all the way down the length of one of these very long straightaways here at Road America. So he certainly has at least he has 1 more opportunity, does Graham Rahal, to get a run on Dan Clark and maybe wrest away that second position. But Here's that battle a little farther down the order. Tristan Gourmandi, and he's up in 8th place now, and he's a bit mercurial this year, has Tristan Gourmandi. I think that would probably characterize his career in general. But he's a former winner of the Macau Formula 3 race, and you don't win that race unless you have a lot of talent. He did that back in 2002 when he won the French Formula 3 Championship. So Tristan Gourmandi might be struggling to get a little bit of consistency perhaps, but he certainly has the pace. And talking of pace, look at that, Sébastien Bourdais, a new fastest lap of the race. This is the dominance he's been showing all weekend long. 1 minute 44.384 for Sébastien Bourdais. The second fastest lap, a 1:45.2 for Oriol Servin.
That's the Sébastien Bourdais I've been looking for all afternoon. He's just kind of kept it in hiding. He's not really needed. He's always had a little bit in reserve. He really has just controlled this race since the drop of the green flag. We saw Robert Doornbos get close at the beginning, but realistically, nobody had a shot short of mistake and mechanical failure. Mistakes we rarely see from Sebastian, mechanical failures even more rare from Newman Haas Lanigan Racing. So just, that just stamps a dominant weekend for Sébastien Bourdais.
Yeah, and Robert Doornbos is back out into the fray for Minardi Team USA. He's down in 14th position, and he's just come into the pits for a fresh set of Bridgestone Potenza tyres in at least a bid to try and get away the fastest lap of the race. But judging by the way this weekend's gone, I very much doubt, despite Robert Doornbos' considerable talent, he's going to be able to take away that point, the extra bonus championship point from this man, Sébastien Bourdais. As we talked about several times during the show, I think he's been pacing himself all the way through the afternoon. We heard him talking throughout the weekend. In fact, he knows full well you can dominate this race, you can pull out huge advantages, and still it can all go wrong. Not always does the fastest car win on this racetrack, and he's a perfect testimony to that. He's been the fastest car, I think, little doubt, in at least 2 of these 3 appearances here at Road America. Up until now, no wins to his name. This afternoon that Sébastien Bourdais finally, this is the only racetrack that he has raced at more than once on which he has not scored a victory since coming into the Jap Car World Series 4 years ago. So every racetrack where he's been more than once, he's already got at least 1 win to his name. Just amazing stats that this man has put up.
It really is incredible. I mean, you consider this is only his 5th year in the championship, and to have results like that since the day he arrived, he really has been a force to be reckoned with. Battled for the championship his very first season. I think you see that Catherine Legge's car. I think I saw the name of the side of the car. Yes, it is.
So the pit fire we heard just a couple of minutes ago, a fire there in the pit lane. She is okay, but there was some sort of a problem there during the refueling process, we believe, and there was, you can see some of the fire extinguisher fluid there on at the bottom of the car. Generally, if it's a methanol fire, you just extinguish that with water, but that looked like it extinguished it there as well.
And this is a battle for 5th place right now. Alex Tagliani being chased by, I'm seeing Neil Johnny on our screens, but is that Neil's car behind him? It must be. Doesn't look like Neil's car, does it? Well, if time and scoring says it's so, then it is so, but both men were on that Cosworth.
Actually, he was shown as a lap down. I don't know how Alex lost a lap. Is it Alex Figge's car? So we'll look behind him.
Oh, yeah, I think you're right, Jeremy.
He was shown as a lap down, but Figge was running superbly well in the early stages. I don't know how he managed to lose a lap, but I think that was Alex Tagliani using the Cosworth power to pass in order not to be held up by Alex Figge, who, let's say, is shown as now as a lap down in 13th place. So that'll certainly be disappointing after an excellent beginning to the event for Alex Figge and the Pacific Coast Motorsports team. His teammate Ryan Dial out early, as we've already chronicled, and shown as a 17th place finisher this afternoon, and Figge now shown in 13th. It's been a much better day than that for Alex Figge.
And again, just the fact that Ryan Dial is even here and competed in this race is just fantastic. I mean, I spoke to him on Thursday. He got 20-minute practice session on Thursday to kind of evaluate. He had special carbon fiber pieces under his shoulder. His Hans device had special padding, and he was definitely driving in pain, but he did not show it because on Friday he was 6th quickest, Jeremy.
Yeah, and he was kind enough to show me the scar very proudly, in actual fact, yesterday morning. Thank you very much, Ryan. It's a very clean,
still
cut,
fresh. I didn't see it, but you know what? Chicks dig scars, so Ryan he's not ashamed to be sporting that one at all. He's just done a great job.
Neil Johnny on the pit lane. Cameron Steve.
As you guys said. I also talked to Mark Johns. He says Neil is amazing in the car. The problem is he just just has a hard time hitting the numbers and learning how to get the fuel economy that he needs here.
Yes, and that is going to cost Neil Johnny heavily. He came into the pits in 5th place, and he will rejoin there behind Justin Wilson and Bruno Junqueira. Yeah, there is Justin Wilson. And Justin Wilson now will be elevated to 8th position, Bruno to 9th, and that's certainly a disappointing day for Bruno after an excellent qualifying run. And that will mean that Neil Johnny will rejoin in 10th place. And behind those two is Paul Tracy in 11th, and Simon Pagenaud, who's had a very disappointing day. I don't know how he lost so much ground in the early stages, apart from the fact, of course, he was off the road on the first lap. But he was, for a while there, he was the fastest car on the racetrack, was Simon Pagenaud, but now shown in 11th place, 12th place, I should say, and the last car on the lead lap. So on board again there with Bruno Junqueira and his teammate Catherine Legge out of the race, and Michelle Beisler is in the Del Coyne Racing pit.
That's right, Catherine Legge, you are out of the race. What happened?
Unfortunately, we've been having problems all weekend with the car, and we were just kind of going in, trying something, seeing whether that was the problem, going back out again, and on the last stop there, we pulled in and they told me to get out of the car because it obviously just caught fire. We think one of the fuel lines burst, but we're not sure.
With the luck that you're having here in Road America, are you looking forward to maybe going to Europe?
Yes and no. I mean, it's 2 years in a row I've been lucky here, I guess you could look at it that way, but I'm not really looking forward to going to Europe unless we fix it, because at the moment it's just so dire. It's like we're all desperate, we're all scratching our heads, and it's really important that we get it sorted before we go over there, because I don't want to wreck my reputation over there as well, you know?
We wish you the best. You will not wreck your reputation. Back over to you.
Yeah, I agree with you, Michelle. You know, she's had a tough time this season, and there's clearly something wrong with that car, because almost as often as not, she's been within a few tenths of a second of Bruno Junqueira. Maybe as often as not is pushing the case a bit, because Bruno has, of course, generally had the upper hand over Catherine, because this man has a heck of a lot of experience. 3 times he has finished second in the Champ Car World Series point standings, but I should say that fairly often Catherine has been within a few tenths of a second of Bruno Junqueira. That there is the radio communication to Sebastian Bourdais, telling him he has 1 lap to go.
This is, knowing Sebastian, he still has 30 seconds left in his Cosworth power to pass him. Yes, actually, you can see he's on it right now. He is probably going to try to make his last lap the fastest lap of the race. Very Sebastian Bourdais, really stamp his authority down.
Yeah, and Robert Dormos has just actually done a 1 minute 44.508, which was within a couple of tenths of a second of Sebastian Bourdais' best. So we heard he was going out there, out of the pits, trying to get that fastest lap bonus championship point. And there again, look at that flashing red light at the back of the Newman Haas Racing car.
He's on it again, and with 300 extra RPM, 50 extra horsepower down these long straights at Road America, he is going to gain a lot of time. He's now on the brakes into corner 5, and he still has 10 seconds left, Jeremy. That means he's got 1 shot left for that final straight down to Canada corner. I reckon that this is going to be one incredible lap time.
Yeah, he's looking at a potential qualifying lap here, is Sebastian Bourdais. We saw yesterday how devastating he was in qualifying. Took the pole with a 1 minute 41.535. That was absolutely astonishing. Just left everybody firmly in their wake. The fastest lap record here is a 1:44.133. So that's just a 0.2 of a second away from that now is Sebastian Bourdais, and he's on the Cosworth power to pass, we believe, going down the back straight through the kick there at about 170 miles an hour, building up to 190 on Kettle Bottoms before he gets heavily on the anchors here for Canada corner, turn 12, right-handed there, up the hill one more, up through the gears, through the kink there, left-handed under where the Billy Mitchell Bridge used to be, now that huge runoff area. Great job here at Road America. Down onto the brakes again for the final corner, turn 14. It's Sebastian Bourdais. It's been his weekend. He's looking for his 4th consecutive championship, and he's got his 4th win of the season, his 5th win of the season now for Sebastian Bourdais. Jubilation in the Newman Haas Lanigan Racing pit, and look at that, a new fastest lap as well, a 1:44.346 for Sebastian Bourdais. We saw Paul Newman on the pit wall. There is a celebratory fireworks after another imperious performance by our champion Sebastian Bourdais.
It really has just been flawless from the drop of the green flag. When those lights went out, he has controlled the pace, controlled the race. He always had a little bit left in reserve, was never really pushed to the absolute extreme. extreme, but there's still pushing going on the racetrack as Simone Pagenaud is looking at the back of, I believe that's got to be Paul Tracy, who's going off. He goes off the track in turn 8. Paul Tracy outbrakes himself on the last lap of the race.
That is a mistake. There's the battle for 11th place. It looked like PT has even thrown that away. And Justin Wilson comes across the last couple of corners in 8th place.